Hello, hello, hello. This is Fro. Welcome back to Halethorn Zoo episode 6. And today it's going to be a different episode. No habitats are being built. It's going to be backstaging. A lot of backstaging to make the first half of the zoo come alive and feel more real than it ever was. I needed this to finish this area of the zoo, to get that feeling of this zoo that it is going to work. So come along as I build the backstage area. So I'll be honest, I forgot to film a tiny bit, and I already started on the car park, as you can see. Now a car park kinda is always a third of the zoo, so maybe this one is a little bit big. But I've placed all the asphalt and I'm just gonna work on getting it going. So first things first, I wanted to get the borders going, have all the bushes in, give it I had to get a feel of building this car park and make it feel integrated. So that's what I'm doing here. Eventually I start working on the pathing towards the bus. I started with the red brick as a option for the bus, but I hated it. So I changed it for the, I think it's the broken stone or something like that. Oh, I'm so bad at names. I should write these things down. I didn't. So where the people can walk, cleaned it up a little bit, and then started working on the path. Well, I changed the path so it fitted more with the stone I already laid down. And then I decided to redo a few bits of the parking lot and border it all with the more of the tile, so it just feels nicer and it gives the people the safe place to walk when they've parked their car. I also changed the color of the entrance tiles because I felt they didn't fit anymore with the overall aesthetic. They were a little bit too white in my opinion. So when I eventually got them selected, because selection in zoo is so good, and this is sarcasm, I went over to a little bit more of a yellowish tile, so it fitted a bit more into the vibe of the zoo. And then eventually I start or finish the pathing around the parking lot. After carving out the shape of the parking lot, I start working on the parking spots. This parking lot could have been a bit better. I kind of just guessed how it would work. But I think for the overall view and something that the in-game characters don't even use, I think it turned out pretty okay. Yeah, a nice little parking lot, and I think it's enough parking for what it needs to be. Eventually I made a new ramp where the backstage road could be for lorries and stuff to get stuff in, and there's a whole backstage road to the zoo where personnel can just go behind all the habitats and to reach shops and stuff for supplies. And now I'm trying to make this look nice. Here you can see how it turned out up until now. And even now, before it's finished, I think the zoo just suddenly gets that, feels grounded. I think that's the best way to say it. It feels grounded now. It has a place in the world where it sits instead of a lonely island. Eventually I start working on the area between the polar bears and the little penguins, which I've neglected up until now, but I wanted to give this area a shed building behind the polar bear habitat, so it at least has the suggestion that there's room to work with the polar bears safely. Unlike what they do in Planet Zoo, the caretakers don't just walk into a polar bear habitat. Those animals are way too dangerous. So they have some kind of backstaging that makes it for them safe to put the polar bears in like one area and then get into the habitat and clean it up. And with this building, I at least suggest that there's room to do that. And eventually it becomes a nice backstage, and even, in my opinion, really pulls the whole area together. And there you can see our backstage for the polar bears and the little blue penguins sitting nicely on the horizon. I'm really happy with how that turned out, and now it's time to go further with some more backstaging and separation of the zoo from where the normal people can come. So time to put in some fences. Eventually I start also work, because I'm a little bit skipping here and there, work on to connect the area in between the sea lions and the Arctic foxes. Now, this is again a suggestion that there's backstaging done here, and this is going to connect up to the big building behind the sea lions, where all the staff buildings are hidden, so to say. But that's not something I'm gonna finish in this episode, because I still need to build a few habitats around that area, so I can't finish the building until I know kind of what shape it gets. But this side, I'm trying to finish so at least this area of the zoo will look finished when I'm done. Now over to the staff building and the keeper building, food preparation building thing that I always forget the name of. And over here I changed the color of the pathing because the red and more red and the reddish rocks just didn't fit, so I changed that. And now it's time for me to start building out into this area and give a nice border to the zoo. It's so open and boring at the moment, and it just sits there, and I want it to fit into the scenery and feel finished. So here I give a quick tour of the zoo. You can see sped up because probably somebody asked that for me to do on Twitch. Yes, I stream on Twitch, and this is my cheap Twitch plug before I continue building and give these two buildings a nice place to sit in. And I'm working towards a little bit of a courtyard. And here's the little maintenance courtyard shed done, and over to loads of placing fences and placing trees and placing more and more and more stuff. Basically stuff. I'm gonna speed this up a lot because it's boring placement work, but it finished the zoo off greatly, but it's a lot of the same. One thing that didn't sit right to me was that the skylight ended up next to the wall. Uh, you won't see that in normal life. It looked really, really off. So I decided to extend the building back one tile, so there could be asphalt around the rest of that building. I think it just makes it look much more realistic from the air. Maybe trivial, but for me it was important to make it look good. This frames the two skylights way better. Putting in some air ducts to make it look like I know what I'm doing when it comes to air, but just again from the sky it makes the roof look way better and more realistic. I placed the air ducts a little bit above the two big habitats. Felt like it makes sense. I have no idea. I'm not a trained air condition expert and will never be probably. So just enjoy this. Also started on some backstaging behind the reptile house just to give it a bit more life to the backside where probably nobody ever looks, but I don't know. It felt good for me. I built another maintenance shed in the green color. The color coding seemed now about right. And that green color they usually use for those prefab buildings. I've seen a bit, so I kind of like doing that. Then to finish it all off, I start working on the inside of the reptile house because the longer I was looking at it, the more bare I thought it was. Didn't look finished enough for me, so I'm adding the bamboo trims that we have already used for our entrance in our gift shop and a few other buildings. So it felt like that would be a good idea to get that style of the zoo further integrated into the reptile house as well. And yeah, I just start to add decorations and everything just to get that reptile house a little bit better. I thought it was too bland and too open. So I'm gonna be placing lights and getting some lower areas in there. I also forgot to put in the animal education signs. Here I'm doing doors for backstaging, so the keepers can reach the backside of the exhibits. Yeah, it just came all a little bit better together, if I do say so myself. And with those final touches, that is it. Our zoo is now finished, has a beautiful parking lot and is sitting nicely in the landscape. I am really happy with how this turned out, and even though we didn't do any habitats, I think we made big steps for the zoo. So remember to leave a like and subscribe, and I'm gonna see you guys next week when we build a jaguar and a capybara habitat. So for now I'm gonna say bye bye. Bye bye!